So now that we kind of have a grasp on navigating the program, maybe operating it, learning your workflow, your techniques, and your hotkeys, those definitely help. Basically, I just want to emphasize that these are all based on you developing your active listening skills. What I mean by active as opposed to passive is like while you're listening to music, either your own or your friends or any music that you may find yourself listening to, or scores for that matter, anything basically that comes across your sacred ears, you should be able to comprehend all of the decisions that were made for it to be what it is. Choices, intentional or not, that you make in the program will have a certain effect on the final result. And the best way to digest music in a way that benefits you is to actively pay attention to all of the instruments they're using, what kind of choices they made, whether something's in the left or the right ear, whether something feels like it's further away or closer, or something feels like it's underwater, or if it's too compressed or whatever, like whatever attributes that you can assign to those, it'll help you kind of develop more of an intentionality to all your choices and everything, which is the final goal here. If you're interested, I have some assignments that you can do on your own time with Logic Open or Logic Closed. Again, it's building active listening skills. It's not always going to be in front of the program. But the first one is to kind of draw with pencil and paper the stereo field and what that consists of from day-to-day basis. So if you were like riding a bike, down Main Street, what are the different sounds you're hearing? How far away are they? Are they left? Are they right? Are they behind you? Are they above you? Are they below you? Are they inside of you? I think that's all the options. And how you generate depth or how you emulate depth is through a couple different plugins, one of them being Reverb. There's delay, there's compression, there's all these other ones within the audio effects window, which is over on the channel strip. We'll get into that, obviously, not in this section, but that's kind of how the stereo field comes about. And most of us are listening in stereo because we have two ears. So there's that. The next assignment I have for you is to, on your own time, and basically find 3 songs that you feel confident are well mixed, clean, and professional. And let me just break down what I mean by those 3. Well mixed is all of the elements in the songs are balanced. There's nothing that's sticking out. There's nothing that's like distracting. There's nothing that sounds off. There's nothing that like is too quiet, you can't really hear it, or sounds good on headphones but not speakers. It's like translatable, and these would be your reference tracks for like, how you like the style, you want to emulate that, or they inspire you to write or whatever have you. But you should be using your active listening skills to kind of point those things out as you're listening. So well mixed. Clean, what I mean by clean is as opposed to like distorted or saturated or dirty or gritty or whatever have you. Clean is a very intentional choice because it's very easy to distort things either accidentally or on purpose. But I want clean, which means I want clean timbres, clean tones. The whole kind of sound needs to have a nice organic nature to it. It's either acoustic or it's vocal or it's natural instruments. It's not like synthesizers, which can be clean, don't get me wrong, but I want you to be able to listen for kind of a sound palette that sounds clean, and then that way you'll have a reference for what sounds dirty or distorted. And don't get me wrong, has its place. And if you integrate distortion or take it over entirely, it can 100% influence the way your track comes across. But if you can identify clean, then you can identify distorted. So why don't you do one of each? And then the last one is professional. And what I mean by professional is the musicians played in time. Everyone's in key. It sounds like it's cohesive in nature. It has a start and an end. It's one idea, from start to finish. And the choices that were made along the way were all with the goal of making this one thing whole or part of a project. But intentionality and decision making is the most important thing that you could do in production because all of your changes influence the final result. You're going to hear me say this 1,000 times, but it's very, very true. And again, professional means translatable. So if you're in the car, it should sound just as good as if you're listening on your iPhone on the beach. Maybe not just as good, but it sounds consistent across all different platforms. which is pretty important for final releases and stuff. So last one. And the last one that I want you to do while on your own time, before you go to the next section, is going to be describe a circumstance in which a MIDI clip, again, MIDI being internal instruments and composing and stuff with your keyboard and whatnot, describe a circumstance where that would be a more resourceful tool for you to use rather than an audio file. And then vice versa, if you have audio that you want to record, describe some situations where you'd find benefit over using an audio track to record an external signal over a MIDI track. And I want 2 examples of each and why they would basically be the right choice for the job. So, have fun.